What's up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome back to the OHIO podcast, where we bleed scarlet and gray and talk everything Buckeyes, bold, unfiltered, and fired up. I am your host, the Wild Man, Chris Wilds, and today we're tackling a bit of a bombshell that's really shaken the foundation of college football and college sports as we know it. Yeah, I'm talking about the House versus NCAA settlement, a legal case that didn't just break the NCAA's old amateur model, it just obliterated it. Add in NIL, and you've got a whole new college football economy. One that finally compensates athletes the way they deserve. But is this really what's best for the game? So, what's the deal with the settlement? Let's start there. What's it mean for college football? What's it mean for the less profitable sports? And we're also going to talk about things like unionization, Title IX, and legal fireworks that could come up as a result. So, first and foremost, the House versus NCAA was a class action suit, of course, filed by some former players and current players aimed at one thing: compensating athletes who were denied NIL prior to 2021. So, we have this settlement. The NCAA has agreed to pay out $2.8 billion. That's right, billion, with a B, to past and current athletes over the next 10 years. It's back pay for those who competed before they were allowed to be compensated. But that's just really the beginning. The deal officially ends the NCAA's amateurism model. So say goodbye to old school thinking. Forget the idea that athletes should play for free while the universities rake in millions. Now, schools will be allowed to directly compensate athletes for their participation. So, what is this going to look like? Under the terms of the settlement, schools, especially the Power Five conferences, will be allowed to share up to approximately $20.5 million annually in athletic department revenues directly with the athletes. Now, that's on top of any NIL deals that they may strike through third-party sponsors or collectives. Now, let's be clear, this isn't just NIL 2.0. This is a full-blown pay-to-play system. And it's going to have a few new mechanisms in place. For one, you're going to see a fair market value placed on these athletes. And the schools will be able to assess how much a player's NIL is worth. And we're going to have an oversight committee who's going to look into this as well. Now, we're going to have an arbitration process which allows players to appeal their fair market value if they think they are being shortchanged. This is a structured approach that we very seriously lacked in the original NIL rollout. But what is it going to mean for college football and men's basketball? Generate the bulk of athletic revenues, and players will see the biggest financial windfalls who play those sports. Let's call it what it is. Now, this is already raising issues and Title IX concerns, and you got some objectors argue that this settlement disproportionately benefits male athletes. But from a pure football standpoint, expect seismic shifts here. Recruiting is going to be transformed. Programs can offer high fair market value payouts and a reliable revenue sharing that is going to dominate the recruiting process. Roster management and scholarship models are going to also be expected to evolve. We may see fewer full ride scholarships as programs balance their budgets and limit rosters under this new financial structure. For better or worse, the recruiting pitch for many schools is now going to be an actual, and that's going to tilt the playing field even more towards the programs with deep pockets and smart strategies. Now, you might ask yourself, where does Ohio State fit into all this? So let's bring this home to Buckeye Nation. Ohio State is perfectly positioned to thrive in this new model. Make no mistake about it. One of the largest and most loyal fan bases in the country. Massive television revenue and media rates. A powerful NIL ecosystem led by passionate collectives. And a history of supporting both marquee and Olympic sports. So, in a world of direct player payments and revenue sharing, Ohio State becomes even more attractive to elite recruits. We're not just selling championships and tradition anymore. We are selling opportunity. And with an infrastructure already in place, Columbus really may become the model for balancing NIL, university pay, and athletic support, guys. We have the coaching staff with the NFL experience to handle the players as they are being paid, to handle the situations that come up, and for all intents and purposes, to manage what is essentially in many ways a salary cap. But then you ask yourself, what about the non-revenue sports? And this is where it gets complicated. If you look at 20.5 million per year in revenue sharing, the money's got to come from somewhere. And we know where it comes from. It comes from football. It comes from men's basketball. And that raises big questions about the non-revenue varsity sports. Your swimming, gymnastics, wrestling, tennis, track and field, just all the other various sports that aren't pulling their weight. These sports are already operating on a very thin budget. Under this new model, some of the programs across the country could face budget cuts. Some may be eliminated entirely. And while Ohio State has the resources to support a large athletic department, and let's give Ross Bjork credit here, and even going back a little bit to Gene Smith, who I hate to give any credit to for anything, but not every school is this lucky. This settlement may force some universities to choose immediately between the ability to compete in football and men's basketball versus the survival of their Olympic sports programs. At least for now, Ohio State's going to be able to keep their head above water. Not every program is going to be so lucky. I do believe ultimately Ohio State probably does have to turn some of these teams into club sports. We talked about it the other night. I said it could conceivably get down to as few as 10 or 12 from the current 36 that we currently have as varsity sports. And I believe that's where it's going to have to head eventually. But what other changes may be on the horizon? Well, just when you think the dust is settling in on this, think again. There's already talk of continued legal challenges to the settlement, especially around, as I said earlier, issues around Title IX, issues around fair market value enforcement, issues around competitive fairness, and importantly, this is opening a door to the unionization of college athletes. Think about it. If a school is now paying their players, why wouldn't those players be considered employees? And you got to believe the National Labor Relations Board is already exploring this. If you remember a few years back, Northwestern tried to unionize independently. Well, now you've got all the athletes that are going to be getting paid directly. And many experts believe players' unions, collective bargaining, and formal contracts are going to be the next phase in this. Guys, the age of amateurism is over. The age of athletic empowerment, complete with salaries, arbitration, legal protections, it's here. It's here now. So as we look at this, we have to ask, who are the winners and losers here? Well, obviously the athletes, especially in football and men's basketball, who are finally going to receive payment for what they do for the university, they're winners in this. Make no mistake about it. Powerhouse programs, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Bama, USC, some on the verge, Miami. Those programs that have big, deep pockets and have donors with big, deep pockets and have NIL collectives with big, deep pockets. Guys, they're winners. And finally, the fans. Believe it or not, as much as I am resistant to change, as much as I am a creature of habit, as much as I love the old amateur model where you got a scholarship and a stipend, guys, those days are gone. And the fans are actually, I believe, going to see more roster continuity. We saw that this past year with Ohio State. Players sticking around because they didn't have to go to the NFL to get their bag. Player retention is going to be higher, leading to that continuity. Also, you're going to see a higher level of recruit come in at the powerhouse schools. Who are the losers? Obviously, your smaller athletic programs. They can't afford to risk revenue sharing at that kind of scale. Do you think a MAC school is going to be able to pay out $20.5 million in revenue sharing to all their varsity athletes? Who else is a loser in this? Well, the non-revenue sports. I touched on it briefly. You're going to see a lot of these move from varsity sports to institutional sports into club or institutional sports into club sports. They're going to have to evolve into a self-funded club sport in order to keep the revenue where it belongs with those programs that are making the money. Finally, the NCAA itself, whose power and control over the college sports landscape seems to continue to crumble. Now, they are going to have an active role in enforcement, and I think that is a very positive thing. They are going to have a purpose. They are going to have guidelines to follow. This is something we haven't seen out of the NCAA in a while. I think the recent punishments you've seen handed down by the NCAA and many disciplinary actions has been building up to what they are taking on as their new role as the enforcer. So that is my take on what we've got coming out of this House v. NCAA settlement. So there you have it, Buckeye fans. We have the House settlement, NIL, revenue sharing, fair market value, arbitration, unionization, college sports. It's never going to be the same. But if you're a fan of the Ohio State University, this isn't time to panic. It's time to lead. The Buckeyes are built for this. Our coaching staff is built for this. Our administrators are built for this. And if there's one thing we know it's a fan base, as a fan base, Buckeye Nation is ready for whatever comes next. So thank you. If you like this breakdown, please make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring that bell so you always know when we are delivering new content out to you, which we drop usually at least once a day. Make sure you're sharing this and every episode with your Buckeye loving friends on whatever social media platform you have. Because let's face it, the OHIO podcast isn't just news, guys. We are a family. We are our pod squad. And we're asking everybody to take this journey along with us. So until next time, I'm the Wild Man, Chris Wilds. And remember, we don't just root for the Buckeyes. We live the Buckeyes. Have a good night.